Imagine waking up one morning and forgetting the name of the neighbor you've greeted for the past 20 years, or standing in the kitchen and wondering why you walked in there. Most of us have had moments like this, and in most cases, they're harmless, just part of aging, stress, or distraction. But what happens when these moments start to occur more often? When tiny changes, almost invisible at first, begin to quietly build over time. Dementia rarely starts with something dramatic. It begins silently, gradually, disguised as normal aging or a busy mind. In the early stages, the person affected may not even notice, or they may downplay it. And families understandably may assume it's just part of getting older. But science is clear. The earlier dementia is identified, the more options we have. Early diagnosis means early planning, better care, and the chance to slow progression. In this video, we'll explore the silent signs of dementia you should never ignore and how to take action early, with clarity and compassion. Whether you're over 60, care for someone who is, or simply want to be informed, this video is for you. Because recognizing dementia early isn't about fear, it's an act of love, dignity, and hope. Not all memory loss is created equal. It's normal to forget a name and remember it later, or misplace your glasses and find them on your head. These small lapses are part of life and part of aging. But early-stage dementia often reveals itself in more consistent and disruptive patterns. Take Margaret, for example. She's 75, retired, and still very independent. But lately, she's been forgetting conversations she had just hours earlier. She'll ask her daughter the same question 2 or 3 times in a day, not out of curiosity, but because she truly doesn't remember asking. She once forgot the route to her friend's house, a drive she's made every week for a decade. These signs may seem minor at first, but over time, they point to something deeper than normal forgetfulness. According to the Alzheimer's Association, memory loss that disrupts daily life is one of the most common early signs of dementia. What sets it apart is the frequency and progression. People may forget recently learned information. They might rely more and more on notes, reminders, or family members to keep track of things they once handled on their own. Here are some silent warning signs to watch for. Frequently repeating the same questions or stories. Increasing dependence on calendars, notes, or electronic reminders. Forgetting important dates or events not occasionally, but consistently. Struggling to follow through with tasks that require short-term memory, like cooking or paying bills. Often, the person affected will try to compensate. They might joke about their forgetfulness, or avoid situations where their memory might be challenged. As a loved one, it's important not to dismiss these moments, but to gently observe the pattern. Recognizing subtle memory changes early can be the first step toward diagnosis, treatment, and preserving quality of life. The earlier we act, the more options we have. Daily routines are the quiet backbone of independence. Cooking breakfast, checking the mail, making a phone call, these are things we do without thinking. But for someone in the early stages of dementia, even the simplest routines can start to feel complicated. Meet Robert. He's 78, retired from a long career as an electrician. He's always been a hands-on, capable person. But lately, things are changing. Robert gets confused when using the microwave, pressing the wrong buttons and walking away before it starts. He's been paying his utility bills late, not because of financial issues, but because he forgets how to navigate the online system he once used with ease. One morning, He prepared coffee but forgot to add water. The machine burned out. These moments may seem like small errors, but over time, they become more frequent and disruptive. According to the National Institute on Aging, difficulty completing familiar tasks is one of the top warning signs of dementia. What sets it apart is that it happens in tasks the person has done regularly, often for years, and now struggles to complete. It's not just about forgetfulness. It's about processing, sequencing, and following steps, all of which are affected as the brain begins to change. Here are examples to watch for. Trouble following a recipe, even a favorite one. Difficulty using electronic devices like remotes or phones. Getting lost while driving familiar routes. Forgetting how to play a game or follow rules they once knew well. Sometimes the person may become frustrated or embarrassed. Others may withdraw from these activities altogether to avoid showing their difficulties. For caregivers and family members, it's important to offer support without judgment. Rather than correcting or criticizing, gentle guidance can preserve dignity and help open the door to getting medical advice. These task-related changes are often the signal that it's time to consult a doctor and begin the diagnostic journey. Dementia doesn't just affect memory, it can change who a person appears to be. Early on, these changes in mood and personality may be subtle, but over time, they can become one of the clearest signals that something deeper is happening. Susan, for example, is 80 years old and used to be the social heart of her community. She loved hosting tea with friends, attending church events, and chatting with her neighbors. But lately, she's been withdrawing. She avoids gatherings, doesn't answer calls, and sometimes gets irritated when her family visits, especially when they suggest she might need help. Her daughter notices she's become unusually suspicious, even accusing her caregiver of hiding items that Susan simply misplaced. These shifts aren't just emotional, they are neurological. Dementia affects parts of the brain that regulate emotion, behavior, and judgment. According to the Alzheimer's Association and CDC, early-stage dementia can lead to increased irritability or frustration, social withdrawal or loss of interest in activities, anxiety or depression without clear cause, unusual suspicion or paranoia, sudden mood swings that seem out of character. It's important to remember that these behaviors aren't intentional. The person may not be aware of how much they've changed. For loved ones, this can be one of the most painful aspects, feeling like the person you knew is slipping away. But these changes are not a loss of identity. They're signs of an illness. And recognizing them can bring clarity, compassion, and the beginning of proper care. Approaching someone with patience, empathy, and consistent reassurance can help build trust and ease their fears, making it easier to seek medical support when it's time. Words are how we connect through conversation, stories, questions, and simple expressions of love. That's why it can be so disorienting when dementia begins to affect communication. Jorge is 76, a retired teacher and proud grandfather. He's always loved telling stories, especially at family dinners. But lately, his family has noticed changes. He often starts a sentence but doesn't finish it. He pauses, searching for a word that just won't come. Sometimes he uses the wrong word entirely, like saying stove when he means refrigerator. And in group conversations, Jorge seems lost. He nods and smiles, but later admits he couldn't follow along. These are common early signs of dementia when language and comprehension begin to decline. According to the National Institute on Aging, difficulty with language is one of the hallmark cognitive changes in early dementia. These changes go beyond senior moments. Key signs include struggling to find the right word or calling things by the wrong name, losing the thread of a conversation, repeating themselves frequently, becoming less talkative or avoiding conversations altogether, difficulty writing or following written instructions. For the person affected, this can be incredibly frustrating. They know what they want to say but can't seem to express it. And for loved ones, it's important to listen with patience. Don't rush. Don't correct harshly. Give space for the person to speak at their own pace. Sometimes, simple gestures, visual cues, or written notes can help bridge the gap. What matters most is maintaining the connection even when the words begin to fade. Recognizing the early signs of dementia is only the first step. The next and often most difficult is seeking a diagnosis. Many people hesitate. They fear the stigma, the label, or what the future might hold. Some assume there's nothing doctors can do, so they don't see the point. But here's the truth. Early diagnosis empowers you. It allows individuals and families to make informed decisions, to plan for the future, to explore treatment options and support systems, and sometimes to address reversible conditions that mimic dementia like vitamin deficiencies, thyroid issues, or depression. Take Linda and her husband Frank. She noticed he was withdrawing, forgetting things, and struggling with tasks. After much encouragement, he agreed to see their doctor. Their family physician began with a routine exam, followed by a cognitive screening test. Then came referrals, first to a neurologist, then a geriatric specialist. Frank was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's. The news was hard, but it also gave them clarity and time to adjust. The CDC, NIH, and Alzheimer's Association all stress the importance of early evaluation. Here's what the process usually involves: a conversation with your primary care provider, cognitive assessments like the MEZ or MOCA, blood tests to rule out other causes of cognitive decline, imaging like CT or MRI scans to view brain changes, a review of medications, diet, mood, and sleep patterns. For families, one of the biggest challenges is starting the conversation. If you're concerned about a loved one, try these tips. Choose a quiet, calm moment. Speak from a place of love, not fear. Use I statements like "I've noticed." Offer to go with them to the appointment. Remind them that getting checked is about staying in control. And remember, even if the diagnosis is dementia, it's not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter. With the right support, therapies, and lifestyle adjustments, many people live full and meaningful lives for years after diagnosis. The earlier you know, the more you can do. Dementia may begin quietly with forgotten words, misplaced objects, or unexplained changes in mood. But its impact is deeply personal. It touches not just the individual, but everyone who loves and cares for them. And yet, within that challenge, there is also hope. Hope in the power of early recognition. Hope in families who listen, notice, and act. Hope in communities that offer support, and in science that continues to search for better answers. If you've seen yourself or a loved one in any of these signs, don't wait. Start the conversation. Reach out to a doctor. Learn more from trusted organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, the National Institute on Aging, or your local health services. Because the earlier dementia is identified, the more possibilities remain. Time to plan, time to connect, time to protect dignity and create joy in the moments that matter most. Frank, Susan, Robert, Jorge, Margaret, they may be fictional, but their stories are real for millions. Let this be your reminder. Noticing the signs isn't about fear, it's about love. And love pays attention. Thank you for watching. Share this video with someone who may need it. And take that first step for yourself or for someone you care about. Because the earlier you know, the better life can be.